We now move to the southeast, where Asian leaders have gathered in Kuala Lumpur for a crucial ASEAN summit focused on reviving peace talks in Myanmar and addressing trade strategies amid global uncertainty. Myanmar remains in crisis after a 2021 military coup ousted Aung San Suu Kyi's elected government. The region's leaders are trying to bring the junta and opposition to the negotiating table. Malaysia, currently chairing ASEAN, is taking a mediation role, pushing for separate talks with both sides and proposing a permanent envoy to handle the crisis. Meanwhile, the bloc is also confronting a wave of trade uncertainty sparked by US President Donald Trump's tariff threats. Leaders are looking for ways to protect regional economies. The Myanmar junta remains banned from the summit, but recent closed-door talks have renewed hope for diplomatic process. Discussions with China and Gulf nations are also on the agenda in Kuala Lumpur. Now we move over to Europe, where a major tariff clash between the US and the EU is on hold for now. President Donald Trump has agreed to delay a 50% tariff on EU imports until July the 9th. The decision comes after a call from European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen, who asked for more time to reach a trade deal. The tariff threat, originally set for June the 1st, had shaken global markets and sparked fresh tensions between Washington and Brussels. Trump had earlier said he wasn't interested in a deal, insisting the 50% tariff would stand. But after Sunday's call, Trump backed off, saying he and von der Leyen had a very nice conversation and that talks would now move swiftly. The euro and the US dollar rose against safe haven currencies like the yen and Swiss franc after the extension was announced. Trump's trade policies have long challenged allies, and while deals have been made with China and the UK, ties with the EU remain strained, with just weeks left to avoid a major escalation. We move back to Southeast Asia, where French President Emmanuel Macron has arrived in Vietnam for his first official visit to the country, the first actually by a French leader in nearly a decade. During his stop in Hanoi, Macron announced a series of strategic deals with Vietnam, including a significant agreement for 20 new Airbus planes to be purchased by airline Vietjet. Other key agreements spanned defense cooperation, satellite technology, nuclear energy, rail infrastructure and Safoni vaccine partnerships. Macron's visit comes amid mounting trade tensions between the US and the European Union and growing pressure on Vietnam to increase American imports. Speaking in Hanoi, Macron reaffirmed France's commitment to a rules-based world order and freedom of navigation, a message closely watched by Beijing. Let's take a listen in to what the French president had to say.
C'est bien une nouvelle page qui s'écrit entre nos deux pays et dans tous les domaines économiques, scientifiques, technologiques, industriels, militaires, stratégiques, culturels, universitaires, une volonté d'écrire une page encore plus ambitieuse de la relation entre le Vietnam et la France, entre l'ASEAN et l'Union européenne. Et j'ai redit ici à Monsieur le Président notre volonté d'avancer sur chacun de ces sujets et au fond d'une vision commune de ce que doit être l'ordre international, la stabilité dans nos deux.
He also paid tribute to the victims of the Indochina War and met Vietnam's President Leong Chiong and Communist Party leader Tu Lam. Macron now heads to Indonesia and Singapore as part of his wider Southeast Asia tour. We now move to North America, where King Charles III and Queen Camilla are set to arrive in Canada for a two-day visit, seen as bringing a message of support for the country in the face of threats and taunts from US President Donald Trump. The King will read the speech from the throne to Canada's Parliament on Tuesday, making it the first time a monarch has delivered this speech in almost 50 years. It is expected to include a defence of Canada's sovereignty and to reject claims it should be taken over by the United States. Prime Minister Mark Carney had invited the royal couple and will hold a meeting with them during their stay in Ottawa. There will be a ceremonial welcome at the airport in Ottawa and meetings with community groups, which are expected to include representatives of Canada's First Nation communities. The King will also meet Canada's first Indigenous Governor-General, Mary Simon. This is the King and Queen's first visit to Canada since the start of their reign, after a planned trip last year was cancelled because of King Charles's cancer diagnosis. We have some